now. What's wrong with that? I think that's pretty good. I've put the sunglasses back on because some people said that I ought to. This is the kind of placatory attitude that's got us into this mess in the first place. What we need are static facts upon which we can rely in a chaotic and ever-moving world. What we need are some virtues and principles that we can feel and resource from within ourselves that are abiding and ever-present. Yes, the glory of nature suggests a creator, but more than that, the presence of a still, quiet voice within us that tells us when we're being duped and tricked and lied to. You probably saw this on X, posted by End Wokeness, who seems to, they post a lot of good things, whoever that is, you know. Look at these Time articles prior and post RFK backing Trump. There's why ultra processed foods are so bad for you, which I think we generally accept. Passes the kind of blink test, doesn't it? The idea that ultra processed foods are going to have a negative impact. And look at this new Time article. What if ultra processed foods aren't as bad as you think? Maybe you should carry on eating them. In my conversation with Jay Bhattacharya, the Stanford scientist and outspoken critic of your government's policy in particular during the pandemic period, he, as a scientist who at Stanford would receive funding, agreed that only the clinical trials that are profitable are taking place. You can imagine, can't you, the jubilee that must accompany the augmenting and minting of a new vaccine program, for then you are dealing with populations, not having to sell your medication to individuals, but to entire nations. That's why you need to take back control of your health. Here's a message from one of our partners, an organization headed up by the brilliant and virtuous Peter McCulloch. Have a look. America, listen up. The world is getting more and more unpredictable. Assassination attempts, rumors of civil war, unstable stock markets, and now the looming threat of bird flu. Do you know there's a bird flu summit this October? The first topic on the agenda is mass fatality management planning. Doesn't that send chills down your spine? The good news is this: you don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The wellness company created the medical emergency kit. It's packed with life-saving medications like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics like amoxicillin and Z-Pak, and it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCulloch, the kind of doctor we all need, the kind of doctor that fought for truth during COVID. This is his product. A few clicks and this kit is delivered directly to your door. Your medical emergency kit isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Protect your family by preparing now. Head over to twc.health/brand and do use the code BRAND to ensure that you get $30 off. Do not wait till it's too late. Act now. Take control and ensure that you're protected against whatever comes next, because you know they got stuff coming next. So that's twc.health/brand and use that code BRAND to save $30. Plus, I can't even believe this, there's free shipping available right now. We'll be talking to Tony Robbins in a minute about his new film, City of Dreams, that he's exec produced. It's a sound of freedom style rallying cry to end child trafficking. You'd think that you wouldn't need to make propaganda to end child trafficking, but a lot of people seem to like having children trafficked. Not only, of course, for labour, sweatshop labour, terrible enough, but for the most insidious reasons imaginable. We'll be having a look at a trailer from that film, which is out now, as well as chatting with the director and our man, Tony Robbins, who I love. Russell was great with that. It gives us a melancholy vibe. And again, so much conflicting information about the glasses. I just don't know what to believe. I need to rely on the views of a brilliant comedian, Theo Von, and a great personal development leader, Tony Robbins. Tony will be on the show a bit later. Here's the moment where Theo Von and Tony Robbins get a bit mixed up between Tony Fauci and who's that other guy? Who's that guy from the 1940s, little troublemaker guy, Adolf Hitler? How could you even make a mistake like that?
It's like there's an old phrase that says, tell a lie big enough, loud enough and long enough, sooner or later people believe it. You know who said that? Hitler.
Oh, I think you were going to say Fauci.
Well, same difference.
But yeah, I didn't know it was going to be.
We're aligned on that one, brother.
Now, enjoy it. That day, I had a nice time doing that. I hurt myself I hurt myself. That's what's happened to my head. I'm doing BJJ and I got a bit beat up and stuff. That's the way that it goes. Some people are asking whether or not I'm endorsing anybody. You must know by now that I believe in Bobby Kennedy. You must know by now that I believe the establishment needs radical disruption. You must know by now that the greater threat to democracy are not megalomaniac, populist, ethno-nationalist, anti-globalism, throwback independence. No, they're probably wrecking ball, fly in the ointment obstacles to the ascension of the authoritarian, tyrannical globalism that we must oppose, that we have a duty to oppose, that we must galvanize against. We should bring together communities of progressives, traditionalists, leftists, rightists, in-betweenists to oppose the tyranny that they march so relentlessly towards us while we still can, because we have big issues to confront. We are being poisoned and they call it food. We are being intoxicated and they call it medicine. We're being lied to and they call it news. If you're watching us on YouTube, we'll be there for another couple of minutes, but then we'll be available exclusively on the sweet stream of freedom that we call Rumble, that protects our right to stream to you freely and unedited. When you watch, as I occasionally do, Inside, is it Inside with Jen Psaki? I know it's got a sort of an oddly evocative, the glasses are going back on, I mean, it's causing a lot of trouble over there. When you watch Inside or Within Jen Psaki, it's got some sort of vaguely evocative title. You will see how propaganda works and how people can move from White House press office to MSNBC or CNN pundit almost effortlessly. Indeed, we'll be watching and picking apart with great scrutiny the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, CNN propaganda gambit after we leave you guys on YouTube. But first, let's have a look at one of the great harbingers of state propaganda, Jen Psaki, talking to Don Lemon. Cast out to the periphery, Don Lemon, cast out to the periphery. It's telling Jen Psaki that not all black people loathe Donald Trump. Let's have a look at her astonishment when she learns that.
Was there anything, what did they think about Harris? Did they have anything to say about her?
They did have.
Side with Jen Psaki.
Listen.
Glasses are crooked, excuse me.
It depends on where you are. We went to a number of different battleground states in Pennsylvania, Ohio. We were in Michigan, Indiana, on our way, obviously, Illinois, on our way to Chicago. And it sort of depended on where you were. Pennsylvania, well, I shouldn't say Pennsylvania, I should say Philadelphia, was a bit more liberal, and the answers to the questions about her and him were quite different. But for the most part, in Pittsburgh or at the Jersey Shore and in Atlantic City, in Ohio especially, many people did not know who she was. Right? They weren't familiar with her. So I think she has to reintroduce herself to the public. But for him, I think that they thought that he's better for the economy. And that, again, that he gave them, that he brought money into the community, and or that he was on black people's side.
Don't actually even know who Kamala Harris is. You're going to have to work on that propaganda a little bit harder. If you're watching us on YouTube, begin the countdown now. I'm sorry, we're leaving you. It's not you, it's us. It's not even actually us. It's the fact that YouTube belongs to an alliance of massive media megaliths and corporatists that will ensure that the views that you gain access to make you obedient and compliant, turn you acquiescent. And we want more for you. We want you to be recalcitrant. We want you to oppose. We want you to be free. We know that your freedom doesn't affect my freedom, so click that link in the description. Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. We will be streaming everywhere for the first 15 minutes, but given that we seem to be in a very unique moment when it comes to censorship and control, we will be exclusively on Rumble after the first 15 minutes, for surely censorship and surveillance are reaching a critical moment. We've been aware for a while, haven't we, that every single crisis event can be used to legitimize control. Problem, reaction, solution is something that's been accredited at different times to, well, Whitney Webb or David Icke or even Noam Chomsky. But certainly most people now colloquially understand that whatever crisis occurs, the possibility for powerful interests to exploit it is immediately seized upon. And this country and, you know, elsewhere in Europe, we have seen unprecedented conflagration, unprecedented consternation, extraordinary events, peculiar management of media, total polarization, where figures that were advocates of free speech and civil liberties 5 or 10 years ago are presumably unconsciously advocating for further government control. It's an astonishing time to be alive. I never thought I'd live to see the day where a global tech tycoon is vilified by establishment media figures for speaking out on behalf of free speech, and where the arguments about what is permissible to say has been so revisited with so much scrutiny. One of the things that's fascinated me is the amount of foreign media talking about how the UK has become more draconian and censorial than countries like Russia or China. And I'll level with you, I live here, and I've already experienced some extraordinary fluctuations and manipulations and Machiavellian moves from various institutions, media, government funded, that I suppose have made it obvious to me on a personal level that the machine is moving in mysterious directions. You know, man, I thank God for my faith. Before we get into Britain, the riots and the fallout, let's have a look at some stories from elsewhere, because it's been a peculiar time. Maybe we'll start off a little light-hearted before we move into the events that have followed the loss of life of those young girls. Some of the other disruptions, including a further stabbing in the UK, the media reaction to it, the riots, the aspects of those riots that are plainly violent and unconscionable, and the aspect of any social unrest that needs to be addressed, even if what your interest is, and primarily I suppose if your interest is ending social unrest. How do we do that? Let's get into that in a little bit. First of all, let's start with just some more light-hearted events from around the world. Yeah, if you put a shoe in an art gallery, it is art. Damien Hirst said in response to someone asking what makes your dissected sheep art, he responded, "It's in a gallery." Joe Biden may have moved out of the consciousness and into the periphery of public life, like he vacated the center of his own mind, but still he is being applauded for actually being, I mean, I think being able to ride a bike is in a sense worthy of some praise.
Trump says you're angry about being pushed out, are you? Can you trust Prime Minister Netanyahu in this case?
I suppose we're experiencing the reframing of reality while we live it. We're looking at presidential candidates as either being potential saviors or demonic or the worst villains that history has ever conjured. And now we're like witnessing the kind of reframing of Joe Biden as a cherished elder statesman, when it was his elderliness that was the problem in the first place, as he shuffles off into irrelevance, and perhaps that irrelevance is perhaps in a shrubbery.
Mr. President, who forced you to drop out of the race?
Just keep going, Joe. Just keep going. I suppose the speculation is hung upon the fact that it appeared, at least, that the elevation of Kamala Harris to the position of presidential candidate appear to take place in a kind of somewhat surreptitious, clandestine way. Who's pulling the strings behind the scenes? Are there various Machiavells and manipulators to whose processes we don't get access? And I suppose the reason that we're cynical about that is, because of the obvious influence of the Obamas or the Clintons or nameless ones that move between the raindrops within the shadows. And also because I suppose in recent years we had the evident and obvious example of Anthony Fauci as a figure who wielded incredible power that had never been given a mandate, that was not the leader of a constituency, that had never been voted in, but was significantly paid and double keen on taking them boosters.
When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected. I got infected about 2 weeks ago. It was my third infection, and I had been vaccinated and boosted a total of 6 times.
That poor guy, he can't stay well. Kamala Harris has now been repackaged from the worst potential president in history and the least loved VP and the most clumsy border czar ever known to that continent to a kind of something resembling a Bodicea-style stateswoman. Let's have a look at how she's handling that. Let's see her from her pulpit and how she is, in a sense, causing the type of, or at least engaging in the kind of incendiary rhetoric that the Dems have long claimed to be opposed to.
So I took on, in these roles, perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, scammers who broke the rules for personal gain. So Arizona, hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
There you go, the ongoing basket of deplorables analysis. Man, the Tupac clip is so good. There's a clip of her being asked who her favorite living rapper is, and she says it's Tupac. Have a look at this clip now, and look at how she fuddles and fumbles her way through it. This is an amazing Kamala moment.
Best rapper alive.
Tupac.
He's not alive. You say he lives on.
But not a lie. I know. I keep just.
You said, listen, West Coast girls think Tupac lives on. I'm with you. So Tupac, keep going.
Keep doing that. Who would I say? I mean, there's so many. I mean, there are some that I would not mention right now because they should stay in their lane. But others I
I don't know what that means. I want to know who one of those are.
Keep moving.
Okay,
Keep moving, Angela.
All right. That was not supposed to be a stumper either. What about
There you go. It's an interesting way of handling that conversation. Here's Glenn Greenwald analysing to a degree the repackaging of Kamala Harris. The way the US corporate media transformed Kamala Harris from a national embarrassment to a transformative pioneer overnight without even pretending to care about anything that she thinks or believes is a powerful testament to how potent the science of propaganda is. And also, I suppose, the lack of focus on policy and the impact of policy or manifesto on the lives of Americans subsequent to the election. Are you, other than rhetoric, are any of you able to pinpoint or even vaguely understand, other than like these are the people that we condemn, these are the ideas that we condemn, which, on the basis of our last speech, people that anybody would happily condemn, other than those kind of sort of blanket condemnations, what is it? What is it that it stands for? Let's have a look at this. Here's one policy being espoused by different candidates being condemned on the basis of who it is attributed to. We're going to jump off of YouTube now, but consider clicking the link in the description and coming on over to Rumble, where we're going to talk about what's been going on in my country, the impact of these riots and the way that they are being exploited in order to legitimize more surveillance and censorship. And also, you might want to become an Awakened Wonder, a member of our locals community, where we do additional content, meditations, Bible, book studies, and analysis of stand-up. Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russel Brand, live from the hurricane. We're in Miami right now, and blessedly, we're not in the eye of the storm or even in its pathway. That is a challenge for the people of Tampa and the West Coast and for all of your nation. And first and foremost, our prayers are with those that will be directly affected. In any hurricane, you sense the concomitant chaos that comes as its evident and obvious accompaniment. And what could be more fitting a weather condition for the mad hurricane of American domestic politics, which is the nucleus and eye of the storm of global politics. Is it true? Let me know in the chat, wherever you're watching this, that this election is, in a sense, a battle for the soul of America. Answer me this as we move to the final front, as we move to the last few days. Can you envisage America after this election if Kamala Harris wins? Can you envisage America if Trump Vance are victorious? Can you even begin to conceive of this period of time ending with both sides seeing their opponent as dystopic and despotic? In the case of the right on Harris Waltz, we're going to be marched towards globalism, citizen management, bureaucracy and tyranny, veiled by wokeness, which essentially is an amplification of the idea of care misused for political gain. Then, of course, those that loathe Trump Vance will say, these are the sort of strong men, Christian tyrants of yesteryear, marauding back from the dark cauldron of the 20th century to cast new spells of terror. I don't know which way it's going to go. I would love to hear from you if you're watching us now on the locals chat. I'm talking to you, Sensitive Hearts and Kimmer's Perspective, and you, Head of Broccoli and Smoky Days in the Rumble chat. I'm talking to all of you. Let me know how you think it's going to go. If you're watching us on YouTube, we'll be with you for the first 15 minutes. But after that, we're going to be exclusively streaming on Rumble, where we can speak freely, and free speech has got to be the most important value when it comes to a time where we're making a decision. Which way will the world go? How will information be managed? As you'll know, the presidential campaign is now in full flight, and we're seeing the dirty tricks unfolding in real time. For example, it's been that even Kamala Harris's 60-minute interview, which I didn't think was particularly good and effective, did you? Let me know in the chat, guys, was edited and altered. Let's have a look at the before and after, because there was a sort of a bit of preview footage available, and when you contrast that with what was broadcast, it's plain, in particular when Kamala responded to Netanyahu and events in the Middle East, that they've had amended the answer. And when you watch this, will you let me know what you think the intention is of the edit? Because of course post-production is where you get to tidy stuff up, manipulate your message. We're streaming this live now, so if I say manipulate instead of manipulate, you see that. You can look in my eyes as I deal with the idea of the hurricane and what it's like to be streaming this from another country, streaming it from the local studio, streaming it with a new team of people that are unfamiliar with the equipment, knowing that the CEO of Rumble, Chris Pavlovsky, is outside the room right now, knowing that yesterday we did an amazing interview with Jordan Peterson, knowing that just a couple of days ago I was speaking to Bobby Kennedy. That interview is up on locals right now, knowing that all of us, whether it's people that are directly involved in the political campaign, people that are directly involved in running Rumble, we're all dealing with what's going to happen now during this election. Think of the psychic impact when I was talking to Jordan Peterson yesterday, what we focused on most of all, I asked Jordan Peterson one question, and that was the whole of the podcast. You're going to love it. It's really worth becoming an awakened wonder just for that. It's worth subscribing. Luke, put the information how to sign up in the Rumble chat and in the YouTube chat right now, because people are going to want to see this Jordan Peterson conversation that will be up in full from Friday. I asked this question because it's Jordan Peterson, right? Let me know what you think about Jordan Peterson, by the way, guys, in the chat. Like, I say to him, what is the archetype that is playing out behind this election? Like, there's this sort of globalist bureaucracy of the Democratic left. What's represented by the right? What is playing out, I said, between ultimately a battle that seems to be between nationalism and globalism. For a while now, we've been talking about how nationalism is an understandable response to globalism, even the aspects of nationalism that people are rightly concerned about. Can nationalism be racist? Is nationalism fundamentally racist? I would contest that it isn't. If you have a nation like this one, like your great nation, that's meant to be the archetypal melting pot where people from around the world came, settled, we have to acknowledge the sort of challenge that there were people living here already, and of course the sort of incredible challenge of slavery. How can all of these ideas be addressed? How can we heal those wounds? How do we move forward? How do we create one nation under God, opposing what I consider to be the greatest tyrannical threat, globalism? Why do I consider it to be a greater threat? Because it's ubiquitous, it's powerful, it's non-democratic, you can't control it. The agencies, we all know their names now, that control it are global and inaccessible, whether that's NATO, WHO, World Bank, IMF, all of these organisations that have their tendrils, it seems, connected to other global corporate forces. Say, just for example, to name but one, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She's took her name out, hasn't she? Few too many flights to Epstein Island on the plane of wonder. That fuselage phallus carving through the sky with numerous bills aboard. Whether it's Gates or Clinton, the bills like to fly high. And what my concern is that with Kamala Harris, you get that lineage continuing. With Trump, you get a disruption of that lineage. But let me know what you think. It's a brilliant conversation with Jordan Peterson. It will be up in full tomorrow. And I'm so excited to announce to you that our new project, Break Bread with Russel Brand, is going to be out from Tuesday next week. My first conversation was with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson and I literally broke bread together, took communion. I asked him about coming to faith. We prayed together. We went through the Bible together. We talked about George Orwell together and how globalism could be seen as Satanism. It's an amazing conversation. It'll be up from Tuesday, but that's exclusively for Locals members, and we're going to have a new conversation live every week formulated around Christianity. There'll be a Bible reading, a prayer, questions from you that you can send in. We'll put the address in the Locals chat now. If you have a question for the first guest, what's his name? How do I say it again, Luke? It's something like Reslan, that Christian YouTuber. Let me know in the chat. That's the name of the first guest who'll be on the show live, actually, on the week of Tuesday the 18th, the week starting the 18th. Yeah, you're going to love it. What's he called? Reslan, something like that. Well, you'll post it in the chat. Anyway, we've got some beautiful new... It's a brilliant show. It's going to be fantastic. Anyway, though, this war that Jordan Peterson, I don't know, he wasn't clear. Did he see it as a battle between good and evil? I don't know, man. That wasn't sort of fully resolved, actually. And we were talking for 90 minutes. It was a long conversation. We didn't fully resolve that. But this war is in full flight. And in a way, is it a war between independent media sites like Rumble and X and government-owned, government-contracted social media sites like Facebook and YouTube? If you watch us on YouTube, I'm only going to be there for another 6 minutes. It's because we can't speak freely there, because they cooperate with corporate media, because there are antitrust lawsuits going on now between Rumble and YouTube, because YouTube, if you ask me, have become almost a vivid and living representation of Kafka's trial. If you're a YouTube content creator yourself, you'll know what it's like. If you say, oh, excuse me, why have you taken that video down or demonetized it? Hello, in the voice of Hal from 2001. Hello, Dave. It seems your content is against community guidelines. You're not talking to human beings there. Of course, there must be human beings there. And of course, there must be human values and emotions being expressed somewhere there. Indeed, when people do those experiments with AI, when they sort of point out that, You know, like, for example, if you sort of say, hey, can you sort of write me a poem about why Donald Trump is great? It'll go, no. Can you write me a poem about why Kamala Harris is great? Kamala Harris, she's so fly. She's better than any guy. Look at her talking now. She's fine. Look at her acting as if she's been drinking wine. Who are you going to trust with a global war? Donald Trump or Babylon's whore? Not that I'm suggesting Kamala Harris is that. No, she's a real groovy cat, putting on accents at different times and occasions. This is a perfect person to run the world's most powerful nation. It'll just write something like that off the top of its head. That is the power of AI, but it also sort of gives you an idea of who might be programming it. It's not a neutral force or resource, is it? And now we're seeing centralized media. I'm talking about your CNNs, your YouTubes, your BBCs, your New York Times, basically the heads of the Hydra. They are all now spitting venom with the hope that it'll infiltrate your mind, that you won't be able to see clearly that we are entering into something akin to the end times. A time of reckoning, a time of change, a time of awakening, and a time of potential glory. And if you can't trust the words that are coming out of your current vice president, potential future president's mouth, what can you trust? Over the course of the next hour, we'll be looking at how the legacy media are curating, controlling, editing, limiting, and amplifying the message of Kamala Harris. But before we get into this content, we are going to have a quick word from one of our partners. Elena, are you ready to go, mate? All right, now this app, before you do it, the cue will be very clear, mate. The cue will be very clear. Hallow is an app that I use myself, and it's been very important in my coming to Christ. Although I am not converted to Catholicism, I am a Christian, an ordinary Christian. I pray the rosary every single day, and sometimes I do it with my friend, Jonathan Rumi. This guy, Jonathan Rumi, he played Jesus in The Chosen. He's fantastic. They've got a new C.S. Lewis Mere Christianity asset coming out. Guys, post the link to Hallow in the Rumble chat and in the locals chat and on the YouTube chat now while we're still in it. Because I'm telling you, this Hallow app is pretty terrific. It was started by Mark Wahlberg, weren't it? And I don't know who else, but I'll tell you who I like on there. Hello, I'm Jeff Cavins. Brilliant guy. Father Mike Schmidt, I heard from a Catholic woman, they call those Father Waterwastes. Like, that's like he's very handsome. That's basically what that means. And also on there, Mark Wahlberg, and I think Mark Wahlberg's wife, all sorts of people do stuff on there. But I'm very excited about this new C.S. Lewis project. Here is a pre-recorded message from them now, which helps us to continue our channel. Here is that message now. I love the Hallow app. It's been so vital in my journey of Christianity, ongoing journey. I'm learning a great deal. The Hallow app's important. One, because you can do the rosary with it. Two, you can have our Lord and Saviour actor, Jonathan Jesus Rumi, as I call him, reading scripture to you. And now there's this brilliant new Bear Grylls-led study of C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity, in which Bear Grylls, my friend, I've done Survival with him. You know, Bear Grylls baptised my ass. In fact, he baptised all of me. Bear Grylls will be reading Mere Christianity and then leading us in prayer. It's going to be amazing. So it's coming up to election week. It's going to be an insane time. Why not seek some peace in the company of our Lord and Saviour? I mean Jesus, not Bear Grylls, although he is also terrific. And learn about C.S. Lewis's epochal, significant and magnificent Mere Christianity. Sign up to Hallow, download the app and join the Mere Christianity Challenge. Download Hallow for 3 months free at hallow.com/brand. Then they'll know that these commercials that I do work. And I'm glad they work because I really do love Hallow. It's a brilliant app. The Rosary and now a Mere Christianity Challenge. I'll be on it. Join me for it. We're going to be showing you this conversation on Rumble tomorrow. Justin, do you mind popping outside and asking them to speak quietly and make sure the door is closed for me? Thank you very much, mate. Of course, be polite to Chris, who, let's face it, owns the company. But could you ask them to be quiet and shut the door? Yeah, the door's open. That would help me if that was shut. And could you, but also, Justin, would you mind also asking them to be quiet if that's okay, sir? Thank you very much. In addition to shutting the door. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Isn't it mad? Like in a hurricane, you can feel the craziness, you can feel the madness. Now, this Bobby Kennedy conversation is fantastic and significant. We're going to be streaming that tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Friday. And then on Thursday, we're going to be showing you a brilliant conversation that I had with Colonel Douglas McGregor. Of course, I'll start the show in the usual way with a little bit of a roundup of the news. Of course I will. Why would I deny you that? But the majority of the show will be Colonel Douglas McGregor, whereas Friday's show, brilliant conversation with Bobby Kennedy. I know what you're thinking. Can I have a little look at this conversation with Bobby Kennedy? Because I want to know what you guys are talking about. Our Awakened Wonders, they already know. Just as they will be able to see from Monday the full Tucker Carlson conversation. That'll be up on there. You'll be just like literally watching Tucker Carlson. It's so amazing. But here's Bobby Kennedy talking about the challenges he had, in a sort of a success he had while as a lawyer. I can't believe the Dems don't love this guy. The challenges he had removing glyphosate from home gardening products. Before we do that, though, we're leaving YouTube. So let's start the countdown to let people know we're leaving YouTube right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're going to have to click the link in the description to see us talking about how the hurricane has been politicized. It's an amazing show that we've got coming up. And we're going to say, oh man, I love this. You're going to see Kamala on Colbert. This person should not be allowed to conduct her own publicity, because when you see Kamala Harris interviewed, you know that there's only one way to go in this election. Click the link in the description. Join us on Rumble, where we can speak freely. And if you're here and you are an Awakened Wonder, have a little look at this conversation where Bobby Kennedy. So there you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. We've got some very special interviews that I grabbed while I was at the RNC. They're pretty fascinating to watch because they are, I would say, members of that party that have been influential in a variety of ways. One's Carrie Lake, who's sort of like a superstar politician who became disenchanted with mainstream media and ultimately ended up running for a variety of political positions, one in particular, of course, but she still remains a significant voice within the Republican Party, and also got the ire of the mainstream media, as you might have seen in this viral clip.
You are just a sad case of a human being, and I'm so sorry for you. I'm sorry that you bought into the propaganda. I hope that you'll look in the mirror and see that you've been following propaganda and you don't understand what's happening. So I'm guessing if you don't win in November, you won't concede. That's the rule that you're playing by now, is it? You are. I actually think you need your head examined. Can you answer that? I think you need your head examined.
Now, when I had a conversation with her, she was a lot more convivial, congenial, gentle, and downright reasonable. That's what's mad when you meet all of these fascists that the legacy media tell you you've got to hate. They're perfectly reasonable people. Now, I recognise that duplicity and deception are options available to people interpersonally, and I would say that that's the very charge that I would level at most of these free-letter legacy media institutions. They act like they care for you, they act like they're helping you, they act like they're informing you, but ultimately they're amplifying the message of the powerful. So this is a brilliant conversation, I think, between me and Carrie Lake. Certainly a lot less antagonistic than some of the conversations like the one we've just seen over there. And the first part will be on YouTube, then we'll be exclusively on Rumble. Remember to like and subscribe, download the Rumble app if you get a minute, and enjoy this conversation with me and Carrie Lake. Carrie, thanks for joining us today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. I'm thrilled that you are here. You look amazing. I love your earrings. I love everything about you. It's extraordinary to meet you and to experience just how gentle you are, you being yet another one of the people that I'm meeting over this extraordinary experience that I've seen vilified and demonized to an extraordinary degree. It's been very difficult. I've also experienced it myself, by the way, but I wonder what kind of impact that's had on your ability to remain faithful and gentle, having been subject to such coruscating judgment from the media within once you so safely and presumably for a while happily worked.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
It's not my favorite thing, but I know who I am. My family knows who I am. My children know, those people close to me. And frankly, a lot of the people in the media, especially Arizona media that I used to work with, they know who I am, and they know it's not the person that they are now broadcasting out there as some. And I have to go and prove I don't have horns sometimes. And but this is just the world we're living in. Do I wish it were a more gentle, friendly world? Yes, but we were born in this time, and I never questioned God. He put us here for this moment, and he never said it was going to be easy. You know, when you're living the truth in a difficult time like this, you're going to get castigated. You're going to get canceled. You're going to get slandered. You know, all of that's going to happen. But I know that the ultimate meeting, the one I will have with God someday, I want that one to go well. So I'm going to take any punch they throw my way. It just serves to strengthen us. It gives you more courage. Once you act courageously, then the next time around, you know what to do. Okay, another courageous act and another courageous act. And along the way, other people are seeing it and they're saying, hey, maybe I can be courageous too. And that's why you see an arena full of courageous patriots here in Milwaukee celebrating the America First movement. And there's tens of millions, hundreds of millions, I think, at home who feel the same way.
Carrie, externally, this event, though, and movement, in fact, is vilified at large in much the manner that you have been, and I have been, individually. In fact, I would say one of the moments of my personal changes in sympathy and understanding came when I saw how readily and indeed enthusiastically in a significant portion, maybe over half of the population, were breezily damned and condemned in a manner that felt very unappealing and, in fact, appalling to me. A similar thing happened in my country around Brexit. Of course, you'll be aware at the same time that Donald Trump was elected initially, that I sensed in media and in institutional places this great disdain for working people and how easily it was interpreted into condemnation first and then the legitimization for that contempt subsequently. These people are racist. These people are abhorrent. These people are dirty. They can do that to entire populations or they can do it to individuals. I've witnessed both and, of course, experienced both as you have. What was your perspective when you worked within media, when you were, to a degree, I presume, a darling of it and heralded? How do you go from basking, or indeed at least living, if not basking, I don't want to assume basking, you might have just been living.
I love that word.
You have a little bask. How do you go for, like, how did your perspective of it change? Because you've had, like, now, how do you regard the institutions within you which you worked, and how will the reverse trick be done? Now, all of these people that loathe the movement of which you are a part, which will presumably come to government in November, this is my assumption, although I've heard that people don't want to be presumptuous. How will there be a true unifying process rather than one of vengeance and ongoing condemnation? I know there was a lot there.
I got a lot. Okay, I'm going to go back to the first part of that. When I worked in the media for 30 years, 27 years covering Arizona, 22 as the lead anchor at the main #1 station, I helped bring them to the #1 position. I have a great relationship with the people of Arizona. Of course, I saw the newsrooms across the country. I started back when news was fair. You cover both sides. You keep your opinion out of it because I'm old school. I'm a little bit older than the average person in TV. But then I saw how the older people were kind of being pushed out and young people were coming in who just fresh out of J school, journalism school. They weren't taught that. They were taught to be social justice warriors. So that's how the shift where you went from newsrooms being a little more ideologically balanced to being 90, 95, 98% left-leaning or downright leftists. And so it was an uncomfortable place to be kind of to the right. You know, when Donald Trump came down that escalator, I said, this man is speaking not only my language, but the language of the American people. And I started really seeing it when Donald Trump came down the escalator, and I saw how people just turned on him, calling him things like racist and just the worst names, and people in the news business. And I'm thinking, what did he do that was racist? I saw this pile on, and I was curious about it. I'm like, why the pile on? What is going on here? And it was so unfair. And then, but I always push back, and I always really push to be fair with whatever came out of my mouth. It was only during COVID that I realized I cannot get the truth out here. It's a half truth here, a little morsel of maybe truth, but the government line here, only government doctors are pre-approved by the CDC. Could we put their line out? And I'm old enough to know what propaganda is. I mean, I've studied history. My father was a history teacher. I realized one day, I've been working since I was 7, by the way. I'm from a big family, and I've always, my family didn't believe in they didn't believe in child labor laws. I started babysitting at 7, back in the 70s when people would leave a baby with a 7-year-old. But so I've been working my whole life, and I finally, during COVID, with all of this insanity that made no sense, lifted my nose off the grindstone, and I did not recognize my profession anymore. And I went to my husband one night. I was working from home because of COVID. They separated us out. We don't want to spread the cold virus. And I came out of my office one night after doing the news and I said, I can't do this anymore. These are some of the things that they have put in these scripts are lies. And I know that's immoral.
What, like, sorry to interrupt you, but what lies, may I ask?
Well, I mean, lies about not half truths. So half truths like hydroxychloroquine is deadly and dangerous. It's been around for 60 years. It's one of the most safe drugs out there, and it might have potential to help. Ivermectin is horse, that kind of stuff.
See, yes.
Pushing the Fauci line, pushing the narrative. If you don't get the vaccine immediately, you're responsible for the death of your grandparents, and our little kids, if they get near grandma and grandpa, are going to kill. Peaceful protests when our cities were burning to the ground, that kind of thing. The pushing of fear on COVID deaths and COVID cases. And I didn't want to be part of that. So I walked away from my job. I walked away from a very large 7-figure contract at a time when things were, where's the economy going? We didn't know. But I just threw my life 100% to God. And I said, God, I know this is right. And when I did that, I said, I know you've got me. I'm walking away. I just want to know that I'm not going to regret this in 6 months. Can you give me some reassurance? I was praying. This is a true story. I was praying at my office. I said, give me some reassurance. I'm not going to look back in 6 months and say, oh my gosh, you walked away from that kind of money. And at that moment, as I was praying, I grabbed my Bible, opened it to a random page, dropped my finger down, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7, you bring nothing into this world, and it is for certain you take nothing out. And I took that as an answer I was seeking from God. You're going to be okay. You're worried about walking away from a huge paycheck. That doesn't impress God. That doesn't impress God. But if I stay and collect a paycheck like so many people in the mainstream media, they're being paid by their corporate donors and managers, not donors, they're corporate CEOs and their bosses to basically lie and divide our country. So we walked away. I never looked back. I never thought I'd be in politics, but the people of Arizona reached out and said, would you please run for office? We need someone who's got courage, who's honest and understands the issues. And that's how I ended up in the world of politics.
Yes, and again, immediately became the recipient of great ire, and to a person that only consumes, shall we call it for simplicity's sake, the ordinarily available slough and trough of vile slops that amounts to legacy media coverage, you would assume that you were kind of a villainous figure. And I wonder how...
I was actually surprised, though, that they were so awful to me.
Oh, yeah.
At first, I said when I decided to jump into politics, I knew nothing. I didn't know how to get into politics. I covered it for years. But I had to call the AZ GOP and go, how do you run for office? I mean, would you know? Most people... And citizens should know, because our founding fathers envisioned citizens stepping forward and running. It shouldn't be such a complicated process, but I had to call and ask, and I jumped into the race as a fed-up mom and a former journalist, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know the first thing about it, and I just started. I announced I was going to run for governor at the time, and I said to my team, I'm not going to do any interviews because the fake news is so evil. When I walked away, they covered it. They got all the facts wrong. They tried to make me look bad for walking away from my career. And so I said, no interviews whatsoever. I'm just going to ignore the fake news. And then I got talked into doing one 5-minute interview with a local station. It was a total hit piece. I recognized immediately the questions were just meant to, like, gotcha, it was going to be a negative piece.
Yeah.
And inside, Russell, I was seething. I was like smoke coming out of my ears. I felt like I was losing control. I was filled with anger that they were doing this. And not why are you running? Why did you walk away? What do you hope to do and accomplish if you're elected governor? None of that.
No.
It was just all negative.
Yeah.
So I finished the interview. I gave him more time than I promised. And I got on the phone with one of the guys on my campaign. I said, that was the biggest mistake I've ever done. I think I completely lost control. That's going to be a really bad thing. And as I'm talking to him on the phone, my husband is like re-racking the video, and he pulls his headphone off. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. This is brilliant. You burn the guy to the ground. And that's when I realized that I had the ability to turn the tables on the media. So we put that out, and we started showing both sides of the media, the nasty questions they ask, because when they edit the piece, they take their nastiness out and they just put your response. So we started turning the tables on them, putting the video camera on them. And that kind of became a little bit of our campaign. We are going to expose the fake news. I think it's one of the most dangerous entities right now in America because they've been lying and committing character assassination against President Trump and his supporters for 8 years. How do you withstand that? No wonder people have TDS. When I see somebody who doesn't like President Trump, I'm not mad at them. I actually feel bad that they've been the victim of the largest smear campaign we've ever seen inflicted on one individual or one political movement, the largest brainwashing campaign. They've actually been brainwashed, which is a very powerful tool to try to turn people against one another.
Yeah. And
you didn't know I was going to talk so much, did you?
No, I hoped. Gosh, there's so much there. But one thing, when you describe the process of turning the cameras on the media, it seems like you've individually experienced and participated in one of the transitions that's taking place, i.e. the kind of loss of that centralized power and its and how it is becoming disseminated and diffuse, that they've lost the ability to absolutely control the way that information is presented, the way that information is categorized.
Their false narrative.
Their false narrative.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russel Brand. Remember how glorious it is that we are alive. What a miracle amidst the abyss that you are conscious and sentient right now, that we are enjoying the gift of life and awareness itself. Yes, we can see in the majesty of nature, surely there was a creator. But who is it that is witnessing this glory? And what a great gift it is. How extraordinary it is to be alive at a time where crisis is utilized to impose further law. If you were watching the show yesterday, and I pray you were, because it was a good one, we back, baby, we back. We talked about Bobby Kennedy's comment on new legislative change in your country, the United States of America. Remember, it is your country. That means that lethal force can now be deployed in protest. Now, it's not as straightforward as that, but it is part of a broader pattern and trend to impose authoritarianism, usually to protect you. Who from? Well, I don't know who you're being protected from, but we'll be getting into it over the course of today. We'll also be looking at this suppressed study around puberty blockers. Puberty is being repressed, and the study about puberty is being repressed. Puberty is part of nature. Let me know in the comments and chat if you agree with that. Has our species gone from a time where we were happy to be able to corral and marshal animals, herding creatures instead of hunting creatures, growing crops instead of foraging for crops? This is me miming an arboreal ape. Swinging from the trees, grabbing at the fruit, see? To where we're actually trying to farm our own hormones. Do you see some odd corollary in this, from going from wars against nations to wars against drugs, to wars against terror, to the war against germs, to the war against hormones, the war against humanity itself? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Kamala's recent town hall performance, but all of that will be happening off YouTube. I'll tell you why. I come onto YouTube, you guys, to gather and to corral, because I know that people use that once great platform in order to get great content. And if you're watching stuff about football, American or English, it don't matter, or if you're watching stuff, I don't know, makeup tutorials, go crazy, be on YouTube. But if you want the truth about your environment, you're going to have to join us on Rumble, because on Rumble, we can speak freely. CEO Chris Pavlovsky and Claudio and all the guys over there at Rumble, they do deals with people like me and Glenn Greenwald and Crowder and Bongino and Dave Rubin to ensure that we can do what we've always done, speak openly and freely. Now, every single one of the men that I just listed there have points of difference with me when it comes to geopolitics and international and national politics. But I'm telling you now, they're all speaking authentically about their experiences. And if you want that kind of uncensored information, rather than that pre-chewed cud coughed up from the MSNBC cow herd, then you gotta join us on Rumble. Let's get into today's stories straight away. Donald Trump appears to... We're gonna have a bit of fun first. We're not going to jump straight into the madness and the potential civil disruption and disturbances. We're not going to do that yet. When Russell looks like a ball boy at Wimbledon. I will not have that. I will not have that. I'm blocking that ball, baby. Do you think so? A ball boy woman? Mind you, they're quite cute, aren't they? Don't you think? I don't think people support genocide. We're against all forms of genocide. We're against all forms of war. We're against all suffering. We defend the rights of all people to worship their creator. We defend the rights of all people to live safely. But where are we going to get law from? Who's going to ensure that Moses' laws are obeyed? Who's going to ensure that we live in connection with some sort of spirit? I don't know. We're going to work that out over the course of the hour, though. We'll be okay. Russell's eyes are sad today, says Flower Power 678. I don't think so. I'm extremely happy. I've got 2 beautiful daughters. I've got a beautiful son. I've got a beautiful wife. I'm being supported by the Destiny Church down here in the Redneck Riviera. We're whooping it up. I'm driving a truck, man. I'm driving a Ram Longhorn. A Ram Longhorn. Isn't that the most American thing you've ever heard? We're going to be looking at Kamala's town hall in a minute, Liquor Giant. And by the way, you guys awakened wonders like True Chimera and Sensitive Hearts. I saw someone asking about the brick story. We covered it yesterday. It's up on Rumble right now. We're probably, my man Massey up there in Canada, he'll be cutting a video about that even now. That brick story, you're right. Because while we're here flapping about the ways in which Donald Trump could be like Hitler from a mainstream media perspective, out in the real world, shit's going down that you might want to be focusing on, baby. Okay, let's have a look at Trump's new dance. We're going to just muck about for a bit on YouTube. Then you're going to click the link in the description, obviously, if that's where your free will takes you, and you can become a little part of our movement that we're creating. And by the way, if you're not an Awakened Wonder yet, become one, because later on today, in about an hour, I'm going to be doing Break Bread with Russel. Do you guys know him? He's like a YouTuber. And when I was first becoming Christian all those months ago, he was one of the first people who was like, oh, is Russell Brand for real? Or is it going to be like Kanye West and all that kind of stuff? Man, the Lord is working hard on me. He's changing me fast. But we still got to make sure that we stay awake in politics, because do you know what I'm increasingly realizing? That to walk with Christ is to become a revolutionary, not to be rebellious against the law of God, not to be rebellious against the principles and honor that is demanded of those of us that are going to walk in the light of the Lord. But we got to get radical against government corruption right now, right here, right now. It's all going to make sense. Can you get back on Rogan, please? Well, yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I'm not in charge of their booking. All right, let's, okay, come on. We've got lots to get on with. I don't know why I'm still chatting. I've got a lot to do. I don't know why I'm getting distracted. There's so much to tell you about. I can't mess around. Let's get on with this thing. First, we're going to just have some lighthearted fun looking at our man. Oh my God. Dafter, have you wished Katy Perry a happy... She can't be 40. She's not 40. It is Katy Perry's birthday today, and I was married to Katy Perry once. Yes, of course, I wish Katy Perry a happy birthday, and I pray for her family, and I pray that her and her husband are having a blessed day, and that her children feel blessed. She is a beautiful, lovely person, and I was very lucky to be married to her back then. She's a good person. I've got nothing but love for her and her family. I wish them all the best. All right, let's have a look at what Trump's up to. I don't see how you can compare that guy to Hitler. I just don't think Hitler would have done that. He was have you ever watched him? Like, have you ever gone back and looked at the speeches of it? It's like, it was not like, young man, da-da-da-da-da, I say, young man, da-da-da-da-da, give you, like, Hitler was not down with golf. He'd have had strong views about that even, wouldn't he? Although I do understand that back in the day it was hard for Jewish people to join golf clubs. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments and chat. Maybe there's some crossover, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, so there it is. And this is good, I've heard. Now, J.D. Vance, a good Catholic, comes from nothing. Come from nothing. Say what you like about J.D. Vance. That guy grew up in what I would call proper squalor. Proper, was it redneck or more hillbilly? I don't know all of your terms. Hillbilly. Oh, yeah, because it was a hillbilly elegy. That's what he wrote, wasn't it? An elegy for the hillbillies. Well, here he is doing a town hall hosted by Chris Cuomo, and Trump does a surprise call. I've not seen this yet. This seems good.
You have a call right now from former President Donald John Trump. He wants to weigh in. Mr. President, I know there's a little bit of a delay. Can you hear us? And what is your question for the senator?
Well, I can hear you, Chris, and I do have a question, and I think it'll be quite an interesting one. The answer should be easy. How brilliant is Donald J. Trump?
Take your time. Think about it.
Well, first of all, sir, this is supposed to be undecided voters. I would hope that I have your vote, of all people.
Nice. Bit of fun, light-hearted. This is what I'm noticing now, is that there's a peculiar anachronistic quality to the Democrat campaign. What I mean by that is when you see celebrities trotted out, don't it seem to you somehow retro? Like, even though I acknowledge that someone like Tucker Carlson, say, one of the most significant political voices, this screen's gone down, guys, one of the most significant political voices in your country is a middle-aged white man. When he's talking about politics, he's sort of saying stuff like, he's talking about deep institutional corruption and power. He's talking about spiritual warfare. He's talking about the principles upon which America is founded and the challenges that are emerging out of globalism. Like getting out like Ben Stiller or something, and with all due respect to Ben Stiller, who I love as an actor and as a comedian, just to say I like Kamala Harris because I've got daughters, just seems old-fashioned. It doesn't seem right. And this continual claim that Donald Trump is somehow like Hitler. It's starting to seem ridiculous. We're going to be covering that in a minute. Mel Gibson, who I'm just dying to get on Break Bread. Wouldn't it, like, Break Bread, my Christian show, you have to be in Awake and Wonder to watch it. We're going to be doing it with Reslan. Do we have an asset for that now, Isaac? Not yet, because that was like 24 hours. You'll do it though, won't you? Or get someone to do it. Yeah. You're good at this stuff. But I thought, I see Luke said to me, Luke who does our social media, he said that he got maybe just the still of it. Hold on, he has. Look, it's a thumbnail. I'm going to pull up this thumbnail. Look at that. Look at that. Read it and weep. Break Bread with Russell Brand. There's some bread being broken. Now, my hope is pretty soon we'll be seeing Mel Gibson. But tell me what Christians you want to see. But also, non-Christians, although they are going to have to take communion at the beginning of it. I don't know how that's going to be for a non-Christian. So anyway, listen, this is Mel Gibson has said he's voting for, is this a still or is this a video? Oh, this is a video of Mel Gibson is supporting Trump. Let's have a look.
Being voted on in days. What's your thoughts?
Oh, man, that's a big question.
What Trump?
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone who I vote for.
Well, so, I mean, I'm going to guess. You go in. Yeah. I'm going to guess, Trump. Is that a bad guess?
Do you know what? Mel Gibson's made a mistake there because he's rewarding TMZ for doing that following you around stuff. Never give them that. Now, that's a scoop. If he's getting followed up in secondary media. I'm secondary media. He's getting followed up. Though, Mel Gibson, think about that dude's career. Mad Max, Lethal Weapon, Passion of the Christ, then getting all that trouble, with the sort of, what did he say? Sugar titty boob, and all that. Sugar titty boob! He said some crazy stuff. That dude's interesting. And then think of something what's that film called? Apocalypso, was it? That one about... That was dope. That man, he a good filmmaker. I gotta say, let's get him on. You are the prime media, says Mrs. CMS. Thank you so much. Remember, guys, stay with us because we're going to be talking to Ruslan in a couple of hours. I'm going to pop off, do a bit of praying, do a bit of 12-step, and then me and Ruslan's going to be chatting, All right, let's have a look at the rest of it.
I think it's a pretty good guess.
Well, what do you think the world will be like in a second term? With President Trump's second term. A lot of people
I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well,
miserable track record. Appalling track record.
What I like about him is he's old school movie star, isn't he? Like someone like Burt Lancaster or Charlton Heston. He's talking he's interesting. He's interesting. Let's get him on there. Reach out to him. Yo, Jules, if you're watching this, get Mel Gibson on our show, please. Okay, this is amazing. So, while Mel Gibson might feel like to some of you like a figure of the Lethal Weapon era or the Passion of the Christ era, aren't we dealing with, there are some people that are episodically defined by their time. Do you know what I mean by that? Some people who sort of very much characterize the 90s or the 2000s or the 20s, because they are chained and reigned by their culture. Look at Bill Clinton now, right? When you see Bill Clinton talking about Carrie Lake, and Carrie Lake's come on our show. She is actually a lovely woman, and I think he says physically attractive. It sort of shows you that Bill Clinton for all of these sort of changes and the changes of our time, is still very much essentially the Bill Clinton he always was. And there's something important in this. Look how the culture's changed. You used to be able to have a president that was like outwardly like a bit of a player. Like he was a married man, and we all got the sense that guy he's having sex with more than just Hillary Clinton. And listen, I don't want to make... Who am I to judge or make any comment on that? Who am I? Like, they were married, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. You had the distinct impression, and then it was proven, wasn't it? Because I believe there was demonstrably ejaculate upon that blue dress that he was having sexual relations. I mean, what can I say that any more politely? There was demonstrably ejaculate on that blue dress. And then that cigar thing, right? We all remember that. That was the president. This is in our lifetimes. But Bill Clinton, like, he's all old now, but he's sort of kind of still like it. He's all sort of like, so he's the Joe Biden version of Bill Clinton. And I mean, he's old. I'm going to get old one day. But he's sort of like, he's all sort of like, oh man, but he still want to play that sax, you know? He still wants the reed between his lips, you know? He still wants to tickle them buttons. Somehow, it spilled out of the bedroom and into the Oval Office. Let's have a look at Bill Clinton hitting on Carrie Lake, who I met at the RNC, I think. She's like a dignified woman.
Running against someone who is physically attractive but believes that politics is a performance art.
Physically attractive, but politics is a performance art. He's interesting. What an interesting dude. Let's see, like, Bill, people don't talk like that no more. Like, womanizing, let me tell you from personal experience, womanizing is not cool in 2024. That stuff don't go down well anymore. There used to be a time when male identity was about, like, I can sleep with lots of women. There used to be a thing. Not anymore, baby. Not anymore. And remember, Bill Clinton, just have a look at that dude's flight history. How was he traveling between those islands? How was he getting to Pinocchio's Wonderland? You know, so, like, you know, there's more to it than just sort of being slightly, you know, I don't know, maybe it's no big deal him saying Carrie Lake is an attractive person. But, like, bobbing about on the old sort of Epstein's Wonderland, pretty interesting. Let's have a look at what Carrie Lake had to say about that.
And Bill Clinton, he paid me a compliment. He said I was physically attractive. I woke up to this news this morning. First of all, you know what? As a middle-aged woman, I'm flattered. I'm flattered, okay? I don't get those kind of compliments every day. Two,
she's handling that quite well. Look, this is one of the things that's so weird for me to even wrap my own head around. Like, when I was becoming what you might call politically not awakened, but at least aware, it was like the Republican Party, aren't them the people what's marched us into this crazy war of Iraq, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, all of that. And like the Democratic Party is all sort of like people like Bill Clinton, like they sort of seem like, hey, savvy, I play the saxophone, or Tony Blair, play the guitar. And you can see what they were doing. They were leaning into countercultural references, like, you know, music being the obvious example in those two cases, and sort of presenting themselves therefore as a sort of an evolution of them old fuddy-duddy Eisenhower, Churchill type politicians that, like, so were literally in wheelchairs with blankets over their legs. Roosevelt, that was it? Like, you know, hey, we're cool, we're hip, we're fly. But now look at Carrie Lake. She's sort of like, I'm flattered. I don't get compliments like that every day. She seems like a cogent, coherent human being, doesn't she? And dear old Bill Clinton, atavistically leaping back to the time where it was okay to say stuff like that. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how the sides have shifted. No one demonstrates that change more than Bobby Kennedy. And in a minute, when we're off YouTube, not right yet, but in a minute, we'll be talking about his observation that new legislation in your country means that martial law and lethal force could be deployed on the streets of America. And believe you me, the election's going to be a crazy time, and the post-election period is gonna be insane. Let's wrap up this Carrie Lake thing, and we'll be with you on YouTube for a few more minutes. Then you got to join us on Rumble, the sweet stream of sweet and holy freedom.
I thought I was a little too old for him. Doesn't he like interns? 3, I'm happily married to my husband, Jeff, who's right down here. The love of my life. And 4, nobody in their right mind wants to cross Hillary Clinton. It's just dangerous.
That's amazing. I mean, think about how our culture's changed, that's become a mainstream reference now. The old list, the Clinton list, the old unluckies that have known Hillary and Bill Clinton, check that list out. That's a list I do not want to be on. Hello, Brad, Case FDE, saying hello to me from the UK. Hello, Chatter X. Hello, Flower Power 678. I'm saying hello to all of you on Rumble. And if you're on YouTube, you got to join us on Rumble now. But before I leave you, I got a quick message from one of our partners. Do you know that with the forthcoming election, there's a good chance that the world will be, and in particular America will be, a lot more crypto friendly. And that's where today's sponsor, Go Mining, comes in. They offer a new way of earning Bitcoin by buying NFTs as a means to acquire a share of hash rate power already dedicated to Bitcoin mining. It helps to avoid difficulties associated with purchasing and maintaining mining equipment. The cheapest NFT is only about $25. The dashboard's pretty easy to navigate, even if, like me, you don't really understand cryptocurrencies that well, except it seems like a sensible thing to be invested in when fiat currencies around the world are collapsing. It's easy to operate. Go Mining has 9 data centers worldwide with significant computational power, offering the lowest electricity rates. Check out Go Mining's website and get a 5% discount using the code STAYFREE. My code is valid only for 10 days from now, so check it out now. If you're interested in Bitcoin, if you're interested in NFTs, but have previously found it too complex and haven't been able to find an interface that you can navigate, now is the right time for you to take advantage of the opportunity that Go Mining is offering you and me and anyone who wants to use it. So check it out now. Take Kimball Brooks in the Rumble chat saying, I still don't understand Bitcoin. Who does? I mean, I don't answer that because I know someone goes, I understand it. I can understand it. Well, you hook up with that Go Mining thing, they'll understand it for you. I'm using it. It's working out for me. So yeah, post the link, guys, in the Rumble chat, in the YouTube chat, and in the locals chat for anyone who wants to take advantage of the benefits that Go Mining offers. Hey, listen, if you're watching us on YouTube, start the countdown, Isaac. We're out of here now, baby, because, well, we've got some good stuff coming up. Firstly, Donald Trump's the new Hitler. Guess how? From Madison Square Gardens. I don't remember Hitler doing a rally at Madison Square Gardens. Anyway, that's good. We're going to be covering that. We're going to be covering a brilliant puberty blockers story. And our main story today is about the pattern of authoritarianism that will be deployed to control civil unrest. Think about this. What's going to happen immediately after the election? Is there going to be Jan 6 style disturbances? What's going to happen? Click the link. Get over here with us. Hello, Coles Towning. Hello, Mrs. Tinseldrum. Hello, Minty Free. Your free speech is welcome here. And hello, all of you Awaken Wonders. Listen, we're going to be
there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me for a very special edition of Stay Free with Russell Brand today, because Phidias is with me. Hey, Phidias. If you've not heard of Phidias yet, you're not using social media properly, because this might be the most dangerous and innovative guest that I could have brought on if what you're interested in is political disruption. Phidias has infiltrated, using social media, charisma, charm, and common sense, one of the most powerful bureaucratic institutions in the world, the European Parliament, and from inside has exposed, if not corruption, the peculiar way that it works, whether that's Ursula von der Leyen and her apparent institutional power. You might know Ursula von der Leyen from her private text messages to Albert Bourla, where she did significant deals with Pfizer without thinking to consult the public, the people that pay her wages. Without Elon Musk's patronage, maybe Phidias wouldn't have reached the extraordinary positions he's reached now. But let's just unpack some of his success, some of his power, and how popular politics through social media might be about to change the world forever.
Ursula von der Leyen is trying to become again the president of the European Commission, which is the most important political position in the European Union. I am one of the 720 members of the European Parliament, and soon we're going to approve here or not. I decided that I will put a poll on my social media, and you guys will decide if you want me to vote for here or against here. Stay tuned, because through me, now you have a voice for the future of Europe.
Man, you're very good on camera as well. You are direct and you are clear. Years ago, when reality TV came about and there were lots of shows about voting for bands or pop stars, I thought, how long before this technology gets deployed politically? And of course, we could be waiting a very long time for it to be deployed politically, because if you did use that technology, you'd be able to have referenda and mandates and the will of the people politically represented. But you are actually the first person that I've ever seen using political power in that way. And of course, it's come to the attention of Elon Musk. It's pretty important that his patronage has been offered to you. That's one of the things, I suppose, that means that you now have a strong power base and are going to continue to have quite a lot of impact, I imagine.
Yes, it's crazy for me to see the most powerful person in the world to say if he does the right, super important decision is the coolest thing that can happen in my life.
Yeah, it's really mental. It's mental and it's exciting because
it gives me a lot of leverage, a lot of power, it gives me a lot of opportunities. So Elon, thank you for making this gift.
I can't believe how responsibly you're using that power, though, because imagine if this was something that was being made by 60 Minutes in America or a serious Channel 4 documentary in the UK. This would be regarded as the kind of journalism that's required. But this is beyond journalism. This is journalism meets politics. Have a look at this.
How much money do I make as a member of the European Parliament? Well, it's a lot, so let's start with my salary. I get 8,000 euros a month in my pocket, and in addition to that, every working day I come here in the Parliament and sign, I get another 350 euro, which is a bit strange. Apart from that, I have 30,000 euros per month for the salaries of my team. Also, I can have an office in my country and they give me 5,000 euros a month for that. In addition to all the previous stuff, I have another 4,000 euros a month to promote my work that I'm doing here in the Parliament. Another cool expense, I'm allowed to use 10,000 euros a month to bring people here in the Parliament for a few days to meet and understand what we are doing here. In addition to all this money, I get some benefits, like having a driver here in Brussels to drive me around, and also business class tickets to fly back to my country. And I'm curious to hear if you think we are overpaid or underpaid. Let me know in the comments.
Phidias, how did that poll go?
Well, people think that we are overpaid, but it's very interesting because I can do journalism also from the inside and say the truth and also be a politician, which is very interesting. I think I have a big responsibility, huge responsibility.
What I'm really struck by is that you are changing politics in a way that very deliberate activists are probably unable to. I'll just tell you what I mean. Like the fact that you do polls online where you allow your constituents or your followers or supporters or whatever's the correct thing to call them now to determine what you do, for me feels like a very pure expression of politics where people in elected positions are responding directly to a mandate, not responding to a centralized authority, but responding to the people they were elected to represent. Are you aware how, I see that on your shirt you have #NewPolitics. Are you aware of how innovative what you are doing is?
I'm not sure if I'm aware of it, maybe, but I want to start and say apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for my accent. It's a bit difficult for you to understand, but we're going to get through this together. But yeah, in Cyprus, this is the biggest thing that happened in politics ever. Like since Cyprus is a democracy, since 1960, this is the coolest thing that happened. And I got more votes as an independent than all the parties. So it's crazy. I don't believe it myself. Like I got 20% of the votes, and it's very weird. But how it happened, I wanted. Like I heard Elon Musk saying, if you don't see the change that you want around the world, become the change. So I was like, fuck the politics in Cyprus. They are assholes. They're just caring about themselves and their party and power. So I want to become the change. And I believe that I will not get elected, because if you have a straight mind, you are going to understand that there is no chance. But I did it anyway because it was important enough to do it. So I started slowly, and I didn't have any backing, any money, just the power of social media. And I was a successful YouTuber in the United States. I had 2.5 million subscribers, but I went back to Cyprus and I had people knew me there, but I had not a lot of followers, not strong social media there. But slowly, after 5 months of campaigning, my social media in Cyprus became stronger than the TV stations. So we kind of saw a bit of different politics, and like it's the first time that this is happening, I think, in the world. Just one person to achieve to interrupt the whole political system and change politics as we know it.
The establishment must be and should be.
I forgot to say I love you.
I love you. I love you already, because I've been following you on YouTube and on X. Thank you for saying I love you. That makes me feel so relaxed. Thank you. I've been following you on YouTube and on X, and I'm very excited to try and understand, is this an anomaly, something that just happens once, or is this potentially the new face of politics, meaning that various independent candidates could rise up in districts everywhere and represent their constituents in the way that you are, using technology to derive direct mandate on almost every issue. Because like our viewers will be familiar with Ursula von der Leyen. Ursula von der Leyen is, of course,
It's my boss.
Tell us a little bit about Ursula von der Leyen for our viewers.
So Ursula von der Leyen is the High Commissioner in Europe. So basically we have the Commission in the European Parliament, and it's a bit complicated how Europe works, but it's basically the head of Europe, Ursula von der Leyen. So I put a poll on my social media because I'm trying to, as powerful I was in Cyprus with the social media, I tried to become have similar power in the parliament as well with social media. Because when you have social media, you have leverage for people to hear you, for you to have meetings, for people, I don't know, to afraid or to vote what you want. So I'm trying to do this, have this leverage in the parliament as well. But I put a poll in my social media. People, what do you want me to vote? Vote yes for Ursula von der Leyen or no? And like 80% of the viewers from Cyprus, from around the world, they said out of 300,000 votes, they said that they don't want her. And she still got elected. So I find this a bit strange, to be honest, that people of Europe actually don't want her to be the High Commissioner and she still got elected. So yeah.
I suppose people will be snobs, you know, people will look down on you. One, because Cyprus is a small territory. Two, because you are young. You have emerged from social media. But just in the example you've given us there, you are talking about very powerful mandates where hundreds of thousands of people are being polled and asked what they want. And what they want, our viewers won't be surprised to learn, is at odds with what centralized authority. Yes, and this I think is true in the EU, where you are a member of the European Parliament. But this is true in American politics and British politics, and it actually, I suppose, is a demonstration of the sense that many people have that exist in your space and our space, and the connections that come from the two areas where we work, that politicians and leaders of institutions do not work for the people. They either work for the institutions themselves, and those institutions have been corporatized and co-opted by power that is not always easy to understand, but can perhaps be best understood as maybe financial power, the power of global corporations, just being one example.
And that's why I got elected, because people sense that mismatch, that the parties are not serving them, and that's why they voted for me. And I think you ask, are we going to see more of this shit in the future like me? So I think yes, because now social media gives power to the people, and we are going to probably see more independent people running and actually getting elected, and with more. But the system, it doesn't work for independent people yet. So, for example, in the parliament, I'm independent, one member out of the 720, and there is 33 other independent, and we don't have a lot of power, and we're discriminated. So the system yet is not ready for a lot of power for the independent people. But I think slowly, as more and more will get elected, I would will try myself to give a little bit more space and more freedom and give more justice to the independent, get more rights, let's say, in the parliament. But yeah, I think this will be kind of the future. And you're talking more about direct democracy, which is very interesting. Like, I feel that I know kind of what people need and want from social media. I put a video and I have hundreds of comments, thousands of comments, and I get the sense of the people. So this is kind of very important. Like, you need to be the voice of the people. This is kind of representative democracy. So I think we are the ones that can't do this, because the parties, I don't know, they don't have the mechanisms, don't have, or maybe the parties can become cool, hopefully.
What you have in the way that you're communicating is fascinating as well, because say when I think about independent political figures that are popular nowadays, say Bobby Kennedy, who came from a really maligned and marginal space, anti-vaccines, anti-big pharma, environmental lawyer, was very, very controversial figure in mainstream media that operates as a gatekeeper to prevent independent figures gaining popularity. Or if I think of British figures like Tommy Robinson, he's very strongly associated with British nationalism, but also say concern, or even, depending on whether you like him or not, prejudice against Muslim communities. People would see that differently depending on where they were politically. But what I'm fascinated about you, Phidias, is that you are anti-establishment. That's it. Just, I'm anti the establishment. Not, I think that you should do this, I think that you should do that, I believe in this. You are actually doing something that I think is fascinating for a politician, asking, what do you want? What do you want? And I think that that might be a really interesting way of conducting politics. One, because people do want different things, and that leads to decentralization. I've just come from the Bitcoin conference, and it seems to me, and I don't know very much about Bitcoin, I know that you have spoken about it some, that what Bitcoin is by its nature is transparent because of the way that you can observe the nature of the transactions, and it is decentralized. There is no central institution or bank that is controlling the currency. And we're already seeing in media decentralization. You, a popular YouTuber, me, you have then taken the step that I think terrifies them, of saying, I'm going to use the power I've got that is derived from the audience. By the way,
they are fucking terrified in my country, the parties. Imagine a kid, 24-year-old, they are like 50 years of organizations. They're like, and I got more votes in combined. So they are confused. What is the future? We need to adjust. We are afraid. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's good. We're here to listen to you. We're here to listen to you. Thank you for saying. But it just shows that new mandates, new movements can be formed. But not only that, it's not like you're sort of very pro this religious idea or pro that political idea. All you're actually saying is, I will be transparent. Like, I loved your video where you said, they give me $300 a day expenses, they give me this salary if I apply for this.
Get $60,000, ladies and gentlemen, when you are a politician, a month. But to the 15,000 is for yourself, and the rest is for you to spend, to have a team and all this stuff. Interesting fact.
Yeah, this kind of transparency is, I think, terrifying for them as well. I think that they like these institutions to be preserved and controlled. Like a political figure like Ursula von der Leyen, who did deals by text message with Pfizer for millions and millions of vaccines that were later not used, whose husband works for a big pharma company that benefited from those corporations and those kind of deals. They don't want people knowing what's going on in there. They don't want 25-year-old kids from Cyprus that have more of an idea of what the population believe in than they do, and are much more interested in demonstrating, representing the views of those people than they are. These people are, it seems to me, about elitism, establishment control. We'll tell you what to do. We will give you limited options, and you will choose from the limited options. It seems that you are coming from an opposite perspective, and it makes me curious about, is that deliberate, the way you've arrived at this place of like, I'll do whatever you want? Do you want, because I remember you did a poll on whether or not you would join the Green Party or remain independent. You just ask your audience, what do you want me to do? This for me is so innovative and yet somehow so obvious, but no one's done it before. No one's gotten into a position to do it. Phidias, before you answer that question, we're going to leave YouTube now, because if you start talking about radical information that could bring down the government, that could collapse all of these institutions and interconnected corporate networks that dominate and control, they're not going to broadcast that, are they? We'll be streaming. Click the link in the description to join us at our home on Rumble. See you there in a second.